We can get started. Welcome everyone for another session of this Readiness and Adoption Committee meeting. My name is Seher Noor, and I'm the co-chair for this committee. And I work for City of Detroit, have been with the GovAI Coalition for more than a year. And I've been in government space for 6 years now. The coalition work is so interesting, and I've been part of this for some time and loving it. I don't know how many of you are new. If, welcome to this group, another session. And if you want to introduce yourself, please go ahead, do that in the chat. And so this is the agenda that we will be covering today. I'll give you an update on policy and adoption, and there will also be a webinar, which I will cover later in the slides. And from this work group, there are updates to the project that we have and some action items that we will cover. I updated the link to this documents for AI policy. We have policy and adoption, the policy manual, fact sheet, incident report, and all good stuff that for anybody to get started. If you are, I don't know how far you are in the journey on AI adoption in your organization. But we have the GovAI Coalition has a lot of good information out there. Folks that have been using it like us, we use it at City of Detroit. We've used several templates and adopted in our area, like that. Like if you are already using, great. Feel free to share the your journey experience documents that we've already created and stuff like that would be good for folks who are still getting their feet wet. There's a list of documents, and after this session, I will be sending out this slide deck, which will have the link to all those that are listed here. And you can make use of that. I also do office hours. I do based on the appointments that I take from folks. You can reach out to me. I had a book me link, but I'm using based on emails now, and my email address is listed here. If you want one-on-one session, you are overwhelmed with everything that's out there and need some guidance, I'm available. Folks have reached out to me for doing an intro session with their leaders or within the company and things like that. And I am willing to do that as well. Whoever is available from the coalition, we can do that. I do that too. So that help is also available. I'll take a pause here and see if you have any questions here. Let me see. I'm not checking the chat to see if there are any questions in chat.
Not a question for me, but I'll just plug this opportunity, Seher. If you work at an agency and you feel like you could use some guidance, advice, tips from a fellow government practitioner, I highly recommend that you take up this opportunity for office hours and one-on-one support from Seher. She is amazing and has a lot of experience weaving through the complex bureaucracy that a lot of us face inside of our agencies.
Thank you, Layla. I see that there's a lot of documentation, and I also loved when we were first getting on board. It was like I didn't know where to get started, and and things like that. And we borrowed for our policy and some of the fact sheet, like we took it as is, and many things like that. So it's so useful. I totally hear you that, um, this can be like it made my life so easy. We, got started like that because of the a lot of information already ready. You just have to plug in your organization name and things like that. So that was good. All right, moving on. Um, we also plan to do a quarterly webinar on how to get started. Um, we will conduct that. We are targeting that in the month of June, like the week of June 23rd is the tentative targeted date, the week, not the date, for us to have that. We, we will be going through a video or webinar or things where you will help new folks get started, get up to speed. And also, we are always looking for folks to join and see if you can contribute or take part in anything. Please feel free to reach out. That's how you can get up to speed too, like on your own adoption when you participate and do support. That's also another good way to get up to speed as well. Um, any questions on that? No? All right. Moving on. Um, we have working groups for the upskilling of this education committee has so much material prepared for different agencies. The responsible use, governance, how to leverage a lot of those things is what we are looking at providing. And here's the quick update on what we've done so far. Since March, we have 11 members, which six of which are government agencies, two are academia, three are nonprofit. We meet twice a month. This committee meets twice a month, and we are also looking at having a Slack channel soon. I hope you are all on Slack. Um, just share, raise of hands or something if you are using it. If you're not, then let us know. We can get you, help you how to um, get on Slack as well. Yes, Teams, but we do have a Slack channel for GovAI Coalition members for more timely interaction, if I can say. And that's what I mean on that. So we also have AAA, the AI Adoption Aid Tour, to tour the use cases. And I don't know if Andrew is on today, but he helped us with that. Andrew, are you on?
Hi, Sihar. This is Lan Jensen.
Hi, Lan.
Hi. Yeah, Andrew may not be at today's meeting, but I am from the upscaling working group. So if you'd like, I can touch on a little bit of that.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, thanks for getting us started. Yes, so we have, since we shared the idea, we have grown. Oh, there's a little echo. Okay, and so now you mentioned about the AI adoption aid. It's a use case already, and we are going to explore with our own Readiness and Adoption Committee as to how that AAA tool can be socialized with the broader committee and the broader GovAI group at the largest scale. What it is that it utilizes the literature that the GovAI Coalition have gathered about use cases, so that anyone who wants to benefit from other people's use cases in other governments can then, instead of right, so far there are over 80 use cases already. Instead of reading them all one by one, you can just utilize this AI tool to get your most interested or the questions that you want answers, and to get the AI to answer you quickly that way. So that's the quick background of that AI adoption aid tool, Sihar. As far as the next steps, so we're now exploring funding so that we can get our groups of people to enable more use cases. So the AAA is a quick and easy one, a quick win. But I had the chance to talk with Albert briefly and understand that even for the city of San Jose, that has offered training workshops for senior staff, and which also resulted in many use cases of AI. There might still be opportunities where the use case ideas are more complex and require a bit more time commitment or even a bit more academic support. So the funding that we are seeking by working with ILG, Institute for Local Government, and Bay Area Community College Consortium is going to be able to get the young people involved in our government's readiness and adoption. With they can also bring the academic rigor. So that's the idea. And the group. So second bullet point, we have narrowed it down on 3 initiatives. So it's basically the different levels. If someone only wants to get trained on themselves as individuals, then there might be a playbook to help them. And then some people wanted to get certifications. Also, we have a free or certification cost-covered programs that can help them. And then lastly is what the idea I just mentioned about getting funding and bring young people to help our local governments develop and adopt more use cases. And lastly, Sihar, after this, we'll be handing the floor back to you, which is that we are still welcoming local governments to explore with us and be the chairs of this working group. So the door is wide open. Back to you, Sihar.
Thank you, Lan. I really appreciate it. That's wonderful that work that you guys are doing, and that looks like a very good work group. And I love the opportunity, and I encourage folks to join. And I see Rupini has her hand raised. Go ahead, Rupini.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Good
Good to
afternoon.
see you all today. So, in this slide, you had talked about the 3 initiatives. So, the learning and certification is what I would like to ask my doubt on. If somebody wants to get trained and get certified on AI, so I mean, is there a platform to look at the certification courses and when you say funding, so is there a platform to apply for funding for the certification programs, or does the city have to pay for the certifications?
A great question. The certifications alone, we have partnerships with some AI vendors like Google, and that's already readily available through our nonprofit, which is a partner of the Google partners. But of course, we wanted to be vendor agnostic so that it's not just with Google. So we're going to build up a list of vendors who can provide this besides Google. So if you are interested in this from the perspective of taking advantage of it, that's great. Just get in touch with us. You can email me. The email address is there. And down the line, maybe Leila, you're here. We could also have some space in GovAI Coalition's shared SharePoint or somewhere, so that it's within the GovAI Coalition's control, instead of one of our member organizations' space to publish these resources. Yeah, Rupini, that answer your question?
Right. I see a
Yes,
thumbs
ma'am.
up.
Thank you so much. I will send an email to the email mentioned below, that is lan@cybertrustamerica.org. Is that fine if I contact?
Yes. Yeah, please do. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. As I understand it, this focus group is still looking at building the certifications. Just to add to Lana's point is, it's they're still working on building certifications and all the other, playbook and upskilling and things like that. If they're open to new members, whether you are looking at taking the information to use it, or you want to contribute, you can join that group. They're open to new members, and you can reach out to them for contributing in that way too. Okay. Rupini, did you raise your hand again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sure.
When you say we could either contribute or make use of the certification courses, when you say contribute and open to members, could you elaborate on that? Because I work for the local government, so I would like to know more about when you say contribute, like what sort of
So,
contribution?
for example, contribute in the sense like if you see in the further slides, you will see that there is the learnings built. For example, they built lessons for the fire department, and we worked with Rich worked with a lot of folks from fire departments to come up with what would be useful course material for them for upskilling, right? So if somebody wants to contribute, like, hey, I see a great use in HR area, and I can get, that's what I'm doing. My at City of Detroit, my HR folks are eager to adopt and see and need some guidance on how they can use AI responsibly, how they can make use of AI, what are the areas. So they wanted to collaborate or need some guidance. So we're, bridging those gaps, bringing folks to the committee so that, they can work together collaboratively to come up with the material. What makes sense? What material can we cover? What aspects do you want to see in the course material? Things like that. or if you are from academia, for example, we do have nonprofits in academia where they can contribute in preparing on helping prepare some of the content itself. So you can be the consumers of the material prepared, or you can contribute either by preparing the material or collaborating or facilitating that with your organizations. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for explaining me that. Now, if I were to do some contributions, how and where should I approach you?
Uh, you can still do you reach out to the email listed, right? And Lan can help you if you reach out to her via her email. They are leading that focus group, and they can guide you through what's useful, how you can participate. Right, Lana?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. All right. Thank you for your question, Rupini. Moving on. We have, in terms of updates of projects, and it's a good segue. I just wanted to update you guys on what we have prepared so far. We have lesson 1 complete in AI and fire service. And Jim is working on preparing the lesson 2. There is a link for lesson 1 here. It's still work in progress, but just wanted to be transparent and share with you what we have so far. I am already, for example, I'm already sharing that with my organization, my fire department, to see how, if they find this useful, or how how we can leverage. So similarly, if you guys work with the departments, you are feel free to use this wonderful material prepared, and we are on to the next lesson and also some other areas.
Hey, Sahir, this is Jim. Do you have, I have lesson 2, which is kind of in its final draft, going through some graphics updates, and the draft of lesson 3 available. If the group wants to walk through those, I can just really quickly show them where we're at, where we're going with these. If you're interested, and if you have time, and if not, I'll hold off.
No, that's great, Jim. I know it's still work in progress. We've not looked at as a team, but sure, I'd love to. I'm sure the team would love to hear updates from you and how you are doing this wonderful, wonderful work that can be so useful for everybody. Please go ahead and walk us through.
Okay, screen share is disabled for me.
Okay, hold on. I have to stop sharing for you to share, so hold on. All right, try now, please.
Boom. Okay, so the intent of the lessons for anybody who is new to the group was we're building out a total of an 8-hour curriculum. The first lesson runs about an hour, between 50 minutes and an hour, including a couple exercises, and it's kind of an overall introduction to the whole course. Then each of the subsequent classes will follow up on topics from the topics in the main lesson. If you only ever did the first lesson, you would get a good foundation. Each of the following lessons just builds on what's there. So the second lesson is about implementation and change management. So we look at our objectives here, and this is kind of the standard format that our graphic designer came up with. My background is I've been teaching. I retired about 5 years ago from the fire service, but teaching for about 25 years, and I still teach the National Fire Academy. And I added a lesson about AI into our data analytics class about 2 years ago. So that's kind of what got me into it. And this is one of the things I've been talking about, is kind of how do you manage change with AI specifically. So these are kind of the steps we came up with, and we've integrated. They fit really nicely with the GovAI's policies and positions. So that's been really good. So we talk about these 5 steps and then go into data preparation, some use cases. And I can just show you, I'm going to just show this slide real quick because it's only 30 seconds long.
So who is our AI strategist? An AI strategist can be anyone in our department who has the knowledge and the desire to help guide our implementation. They manage the operational and procedural changes that come with adopting new technology. The AI strategist is responsible for ensuring our AI implementation stays aligned with our master plan. They coordinate implementation between stakeholders and the department, a key to successful integration of AI tools. In a small department, the AI strategist may be one person. In a larger department, the role may be filled by a team.
So it just, right now, the PowerPoint's set up to auto advance through the slideshow. But that's the idea, is we're looking at implementation. We talk about de-risking governments, go through each of those 5 stages. And then the change management tool we adopted is from the Deming's model, the PDCA model. It is an open source, not protected model, so we don't have to worry about copyright issues. So we talk about that, look at strategy, who is our strategist, implementation, and then we tie the implementation, the 5 stages, to the PDCA model and a SWOT analysis. And then we look at those 2 together, actually created a custom GPT to allow us to work through the implementation process of using the SWOT analysis. And then they get an activity and a summary. So that's lesson 2. This lesson only runs 30 minutes. The video is only 10 minutes, and then it's idea to have another 15 minutes for the activity. In lesson 3, we're looking at document analysis and review. We've looked at what we're going to define what it actually means, just real quick. So we establish that playing field, talk about comparative analysis, describe review and analysis capabilities of AI systems, and then talk about mind maps. So we just go through these very basically, do a demo, an activity, do the mind map, again, definition, activity with the demo, and then the summary. It's been really interesting to see what Notebook LM can do with mind maps in its basic, the basic tool, even the free tool. So it's a really cool opportunity for us to kind of explore what we can do with some of this stuff. And then lesson 4 goes into document and media generation, but that one's not ready to share yet. So any comments?
Yes, this looks so good, Jim. This will be so helpful. I'm so excited for these lessons, and I cannot believe we're getting this all handed out to us. Excellent, excellent work. I can't get over how good this information is. Thank you so much for all your work. It's amazing.
My pleasure. I think this is so important, not just for us generally, but for the fire service is huge to have, build this foundation to work from. And it's been very haphazard. We are actually in the process. Friday, I've got a meeting with Fire Engineering, which is one of the major publications in the fire service, and a meeting to co-brand the content with them. So I think on the slide, it showed that the lesson 1 has gone live with the Public Sector Network, and a link for that. If you could throw the link in the chat, that would be great.
I don't have that one ready, but I'll share that as part of when we send the deck out, we'll send the link too, unless someone else has the link.
I thought it was in the slide. If you go back one slide.
Let's see. Oh, the YouTube, you mean?
That's the public sector. That bottom link right there is for the Public Sector Network. That, I think that's the link we're looking for. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, but yeah, this went live. Good reminder, Jim. What we can do is also, in order to access this, you have to register first. So that's the only caveat. Yes, Lan.
Right. The first, congratulations. It looks wonderful, professional, and also practical. My quick question is, it kind of plug in actually, right? If the people who receive the training have some ideas and they think that they may need some help, would you have a plugin to say that they can contact, somewhere to explore getting their use case ideas developed?
Interesting. We are pointing folks back to the GovAI Coalition right now for resources. So I think that might naturally lead them back to us. But I haven't thought about specifically putting something in there for a link.
Yeah, we can talk offline, and especially also as our working group gets more substantial, then it's going to be much easier, right, to refer to it. But for now, if you point back to GovAI and Leila and team can connect the dots, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim. This is Jim Green. I have a question. I'd like to understand a little bit more the context for this training. So it seems like it's around, hey, the agency wants to use AI, so let's do these things, take these, 5 steps, and get going, right? But there are scenarios where identification of a use case is actually like the first thing, right? There's something in the market that comes on the radar of the agency, and the vendor is coming forward and saying, we've got this thing that's going to do something for your agency, and the use case is right up front. And it may or may not involve steps like preparation of the agency's data. So can you just help me understand, is this meant to cover the full scope of how agencies get going with AI adoption, and what are the key steps? Or is it a more limited context?
Yeah, the idea was to recognize that we had nothing in the fire service, and we were starting to see people not make considerations, not think about the things they should be thinking about before they started using the tools. So the idea was to establish a foundation, and we looked specifically at those 5 steps, and we called them steps, but really during the context of the lesson, we addressed them as considerations. And really actually we talk about the fact that the first thing you're probably going to find is a use case, and you're going to work from there in this framework on how you're going to adopt that use case if you want to move forward. And as an example, one of the things, the really simple example we talk about is, they say you've been using ChatGPT at home, playing around with it, and you decide you want to help it write a policy. You want it to help you write a policy. Well, what does that mean? And simplistically, you might go back and say, okay, well, I'm just going to have it write a policy, but not think about all the downstream effects. And firefighters are an interesting breed. It's one of the reasons why we looked at doing specific training. Public safety is generalized, but we're looking at specific training for fire and EMS and police departments, and keeping them separate because they do have some different considerations than fire departments do. But when you look at that really simple use case, if the fire chief or a chief officer who's a leader in the organization starts to use AI in a certain way, does that make it okay for everybody in the organization to do that? And the answer, if without addressing change management, and that this is, it's talking about, hey, this is a test case. We're being open and transparent about how we're doing it in the organization. It can open up Pandora's box, and we really want to avoid that. I think the possibility for harm in public agencies is, if not as great or greater than the possibility for good. So that's kind of my foundation. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think it does. It really addresses a particular type of scenario where the agency is looking to get started with AI and feels a little bit more like a greenfield rather than they see a tool on the market that has applicability in their agency and want to use it. And by a tool, I don't mean something like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or something like that, right? I mean something where a vendor has created a solution that's specific to their domain and solves a certain kind of problem.
Sure.
Certainly, we have huge risk around public safety in particular, but not just public safety, right? Going out and saying, oh, well, let's fire up ChatGPT and see what we can do with it. So yeah, so I think there's another sort of set of problems or another pathway into adoption of AI tools that would have maybe some of the same considerations.
Yeah, and we do address the concept of shadow AI, and we're seeing that a lot in the fire service right now, where companies are integrating AI. As an example, there's a report software now that's integrating AI into their narrative so that it then backfills the rest of the report. And they're not necessarily disclosing how they're using AI and how they're using our data. And those are the kinds of questions we need to teach people to ask and point them back to the resources at the GovAI Coalition, where they have that vendor disclosure form that really allows the fire service to ask the right questions about how things are being used and how their data is being used. But you're absolutely right. You've got AI washing and you've got shadow AI going on right now, and we really need to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, and then just sort of a parting comment on that one. Shadow AI is a really, really good reason why we ought to be promoting AI that is understood and explainable and can answer all the questions that the coalition is putting forward as models, right? So if we don't give our agency staff tools to do things the safe way and the right way using AI, they're going to go backdoor it in. So it's a lot like shadow IT, right? People use it because we're not solving their problems. So similarly on shadow AI, if we can bring excellent solutions forward that meet our criteria for safety, explainability, transparency, accountability, etc., we can mitigate that problem. So yeah, good stuff. Thank you, Jim.
Good discussion, folks. It's yeah, very helpful to know. Thanks for your questions, Jim Green. Thanks, Jim Brown, for wonderful information. Moving on. The AI education for policymakers. This we have our wonderful Quinn. I think I saw him on this. He is the senior policy analyst for Center for Democracy and Technology. And Quinn, if you are there, if you want to cover this slide.
Yeah, happy to. And we have a slide with a little bit more detail that I can share if that would be helpful. But we've been, sorry, go ahead.
I can stop sharing and you can share it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can put that up. Yeah. All right. Is that working for folks? Okay, cool. So the idea here is we're trying to explore what a potential module would look like for elected officials and senior leaders. Oh, and my name's Quinn. I work at the Center for Democracy and Technology. We're a nonpartisan nonprofit. We work a lot around things like data privacy and civil rights related to data and technology. My colleague Maddie and I, who's also on the call, work on our equity and civic technology team that focuses on public sector uses of data and technology. So we've been chatting with Rich and Sahir about what this new potential module could look like. So the idea, as I understand it, is that this would be targeted towards folks at the sort of C-suite level or elected officials like mayors, county executives, state legislators, regulators, and governors. So people that aren't at the ground level implementation, but are likely setting laws, policies, or regulations that would govern how folks at the agency and implementer level are able to use and oversee these kinds of tools. So the idea would be to make brief, maybe 15-minute length modules that would help these policymakers and leaders understand how to craft effective AI policies, both by laying out what are some of the core components to understand about how these tools works and how tools work and how governance happens, and some of the ground level things that implementers experience in their day-to-day so that they can make policies informed by those details. So we took a pass at trying to kind of sketch out what some of these modules could cover and wanted to share these with the group to get folks feedback and reaction to make sure that this is a helpful direction, that we aren't missing anything. So I'll kind of go through these, and we have these kind of 4 main bullets here, and then underneath them have tried to add some detail about what that could include. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll just kind of go through the 4 areas, and then I can stop screen sharing. We can talk a little bit more. So the first would be around explaining existing use and the impact on existing laws and policies. So to give an overview sketch of these are the kinds of common use cases we're seeing across states and locals, to give policymakers an idea about how this is already happening, and then to explain how these interface with existing laws and policies in states and localities. So if they're considering adopting new policies or laws, they understand better the landscape they're playing in. The second would be around barriers and challenges to AI adoption implementation. So this would be drawing a lot on the knowledge of folks that deal with day-to-day ground level details around AI adoption, laying out what are some of the biggest barriers, what are some of the challenges to safety, transparency, trustworthiness, that kind of thing. The second would be, or third rather, would be around risks and benefits, outlining how this could improve agency efficiency and service delivery, and also some of the risks that would need to be taken into consideration when policymakers are considering new policy. Last would be, again, around some of the more kind of detailed ground level specifics related to governance and implementation. What kind of agency leaders are involved, what are the standard governance measures that agencies might be adopting, and how implementation actually works. So I'll stop there. Those were the 4 areas. Again, we know that this isn't exhaustive. This is very early, so we wanted to share it with this group to get folks' reactions, both to the kind of idea for the module in general and also the content.
Thank you so much, Gwen. Questions, folks? No? All right, we can continue.
Just one question in general for folks, like from your vantage points as you interface with agency leadership or other leaders in the governments that you work for or elected officials. Is this a common knowledge gap you're experiencing in terms of you are working on AI projects, but you're having trouble communicating with senior leaders about the needs or challenges that you're experiencing? Or are there other sectors or groups of stakeholders within government that you see a greater need for this kind of thing for, as opposed to the kind of policymaker elected level? Yeah, I can reshare my screen. 1 second.
I see that Christopher has a hand raised.
Hi, I would say that there is definitely a knowledge gap, specifically when it gets to the top leadership that really needs to have a solid understanding of the what, why, hows around AI development. And I think that if on a more granular level, you can bring in stakeholders such as risk management, your ISO, your SOC teams, along with your privacy people, you really need to sort those issues out at that level before you can bring it as a kind of summary document, summary understanding to the leadership. But you really need to engage those stakeholders as you're developing the use cases, so that you get those inputs at the operational level before you take it to the more strategic leadership level.
Great, that's super helpful. Anyone else? And I'm seeing the stuff in the chat.
I can just add real quick too. I shared in the chat a very quick resource, definitely not at the level of education that this module would provide, but the coalition, one of the working groups, I think Robert's actually on the call, he oversaw a working group that helped collaborate on this quick guide that has some questions that elected officials and other government leaders could ask when they're, for example, approached by vendors who have a flashy new AI application, so that they can kind of interrogate and get a little bit more of an understanding of the implications of what using that tool would be. But I can just say from, my own experience and also hearing from other folks in the coalition, I think that this training is sorely needed. And I see in the chat that I feel like other folks would really find use from this too. So I would be in strong support of creating something like this, Quinn.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, maybe it can be complementary to the kind of questions list and not duplicative of it, of trying to give more of an overview of those kinds of areas, as opposed to like, you're now asking questions about a specific use case, but we can direct people to that of like, okay, if you've gone through these modules and you're thinking about how to evaluate a specific thing now, here's a thing that will walk you through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the resource I shared is kind of like a cheat sheet, but it doesn't grow that deeper understanding that I think the training you're talking about could do. So
Cool.
Definitely see them as working together.
Awesome.
Yeah. And like I was discussing with Quinn earlier, that this is super helpful for my own organization as well. Mine is, I'm sure it'd be useful for everybody, but mine is specifically, so we have an outgoing administration. Our mayor is not up for election, and there's another one coming, so the whole administration change, and the new folks joining, it'd be a good information to share with newly elected members. Whether new or old, you can still use it for everybody, but think of everything this can help facilitate discussions around this. Thank you, Quinn and Maddie, really appreciate. All right, moving on. I see we have 9 minutes, so I'll try to breeze through, and we'll wait for questions at the end, if that's okay. All right. Nicole, I don't know if you are on the call. Okay, quick update on this is that Rich met with various other departments. He met with Heather. I don't know, Heather is here, and potentially looking at merging with this content with some of the other organizations as well, the government organizations. There are new team members that are joining, and then from Nicole, they're working towards the risk and insurance management. Their concerns with privacy, human verification, and all that. So provisions to ensure that these areas are being covered is, I see Heather is there. So if you want to talk about, Hi,
I feel bad because you guys are working so hard and doing such marvelous work. And so often I'm just a listener. And so I just want to say that There are efforts between MESAC and the GovAI Coalition where there is overlap. There's areas where you guys are bounding ahead by leaps and bounds. You're way ahead of us on certain things. And there's probably areas where we might be able to contribute and come alongside you and augment what you're doing, or we might be able to share knowledge in some fashion. And so I don't want to just kind of sit here and be a lurker. I want to be able to, you know, if I can contribute, I want to be able to do that. So just want to say that for now.
Heather. So moving on, some of the other projects that are being worked on is the CISO training. Bloomberg is taking a lead on that development. We've been in Rich is talking to various organizations and collaborating with GovAI to see what content development can be done. And of course, we're also when we are talking about fire, police can't be too far away. So looking at doing the material for the police as well. That project, already talking to NYU School of Law, and there would be another working group around that. So folks are interested in that in any capacity, reach out to us and we can guide you where your help or participation can be most useful for the coalition and for yourself. The other action items that we have is, at the end, after this meeting is done, we will share all this material in this folder, and when we send out the deck, it will have all the links. All this will be shared with you, and you can use it like that. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to reach out to us, Rich and Albert or Layla or myself, anybody. But if you have any other any ideas or anything at all that you see that can be useful for the group, please feel free to reach out. We have 5 minutes left. I'd like to open it for any questions anybody has. Any additional questions?
You mentioned CISO training. Could you elaborate a little more on what you have in mind?
For various areas, there is training material being developed, especially for CISO. The cyber area is so important. So looking at developing content in that area for them, like how you have content for government officials, the elected officials or firefighters or police, there would be for CISOs as well.
Right. So I work very closely with our cybersecurity analyst. We are leading the incident response team for MESAC. And, we're trying to come up with materials. So who would be working on the CISO education thing?
Who would be working?
How might I, get involved with that?
You will have to reach out to us. I don't know who exactly at this time, but there are discussions around. Rich is talking to various organizations. NY School of Law is one, and various other organizations helping us in preparing that. So just reach out to us and we'll give you more information.
Thank you.
And how to get engaged or involved.
Thank you.
Sure, Heather. Anything else? Any last questions? No? Okay, you guys are awesome. Great participation today. I loved all the input and you contributors. You make it so much fun and easy for all of us and so useful. Really appreciate it. Thank you again. And until next time, bye. Have a great day. Thank you all.